Here we'll take a look at tumors of the CNS. Let's begin. Remember, whenever you find or if you suspect a space-occupying lesion in your brain, it could be many issues. One of them could be tumors. When it is tumors, though, it is metastasis by far, which is much more common than primary. But that would be for most organs. Metastatic disease outnumbers your primary malignancy of the brain by 5-to-1 or greater than 5-to-1 type ratio. But that, for the most part, is true for most organs in the body, as we have seen. Most common parenchymal metastases are the lung, the breast, melanoma, and renal cell carcinoma. Once again, if you are referring to metastasis to the brain and it's parenchymal in origin, then you must know lung and breast, put those together because of the vicinity. And then you have melanoma and renal cell carcinoma, which may metastasize to the brain. Leptomeningeal metastases can occur from leukemia and lymphoma, as well as from breast melanoma and also your lung cancer. So once again, if we're talking about leptomeningeal type of metastasis, here for the most part, you're thinking about your WBC type of pathology, either leukemia or lymphoma. But in addition to that, please note that your parenchymal metastases could also be included here. The most common presentation, as you can imagine, would be headache and new onset seizures because you have a space-occupying lesion in the brain. There is no quote-unquote characteristic headache indicating the tumor. It could be dull, it could be rather intense. Incidence of seizures varies depending on the type of tumor and the location, obviously. Increased intracranial pressure, ICP, and focal neurologic deficit can also be seen at presentation, but not at most times, but could be a part of the syndrome of presentations that you'd be seeing with CNS tumors. Our topic at first, apart from metastases, now we begin our official primary CNS tumors. Most common tumor type, we'll talk about age groups, children and adults. Now, if it is a primary CNS tumor in a child, then we have infratentorial tumors are more common, as are primary CNS neoplasms. In adults, its supratentorial are more common, as are metastatic lesions as well. So you want to know commonly where you would have locations of your CNS tumors, either your population being children or adults. Neuronal tumors are rare, and neurons usually do not divide after birth. And for the most part, you must think of this as being, for your boards, as being very, very almost permanent type of cells. Now, obviously, research is showing us that maybe perhaps division is possible after birth, but as far as you're concerned right now, division in these cells tend to be permanent in nature. Imaging, in contrast, is the best radiologic study to evaluate the CNS tumors. Now, once again, please be careful here, because if you're referring to increased intracranial pressure, and if there was some kind of bleeding that's taking place in the brain, then obviously the contrast here would be contraindicated. But with tumors, the contrast would be a very good idea for you to identify the tumor itself. Here's an important slide so that you can actually organize your thoughts for primary CNS tumors. And begin with neuroepithelial tumors. And this will be an important category. Under neuroepithelial tumor, we'll take a look at astrocytic tumors. And then we will further divide astrocytic tumors. And it is extremely important that you pay attention to the different grades that we'll walk through an astrocytic tumor, because one of the most common brain tumors that we'll find includes glioblastoma multiforme, which will be in this category, as we shall see. In addition, our next classification under neuroepithelial will be oligodendrogliomas, or oligodendroglial tumors. And obviously, you know that oligodendroglial cells are your CNS cells or manufacturing plant for myelin in the CNS. Ependymal tumors, think about ependymal and what that means to you. And these cells are quite a bit responsible for production of CSF and such. choroid plexus tumors. So both of these you kind of group together in terms of where you can expect to see it. So these will be important in terms of location. And then embryonal tumors, and these tend to be medulloblastomas, and that would be an incredibly important brain tumor of a child, medulloblastoma. We'll walk through many of these in great detail. I want you to now move into the meningeal. And in the meningeal region, we have meningeal tumors, and specifically the meningioma. Now, keep your parenchyma of the brain separate, please, from the meninges. So imagine now that you have a primary CNS tumor that's developing in the meninges. Wow. Well, that takes a little bit of time in terms of developing, and as it gets bigger, what is it going to do? Well, it may then start invading and impinging upon the brain parenchyma. Then you have hemangioblastomas, and these are important as well. And the reason for that you'll see soon enough is that the associations, including with von Hippel-Lindau disease. You have primary CNS lymphomas as well, and especially if you have a patient that may have HIV. Unfortunately, there's a possibility of a lymphoma developing as a primary CNS tumor. Then you have a classification of germ cell tumors. A germinoma, choriocarcinoma, teratoma are possibilities. Cellular region type of tumors, and these include your pituitary adenomas, your craniopharyngioma in a child, notably, and even perhaps a pineoblastoma. So here you have it in terms of organization of your thoughts, in terms of locations, and under these are subtypes, and even under these we have our super subtypes. And we'll get into details of these, and I'll point out which ones that you want to pay attention to and give you clinical pearls as to what kind of symptoms and signs that you're looking for in your patient.